Okay. Hello, and welcome back to the Good Talkers podcast. I am Deanna Cooney, and I am joined, as always, by my incredibly fabulous and amazingly gorgeous and insanely talented co-hosts, Tessa Livingston.
Hello.
And Ashton Haugen.
Hello. That was quite the set of compliments.
It was. I like that.
I'm a little flustered.
I like to triple stack compliments. I think it works really nicely. Now, unfortunately, we do not have producer Jordan with us today. We're missing a little square on our Zoom screen, and it's sad, and we miss him, and we're going to do the best that we possibly can to stay on track without you, Jordan. We're a little bit worried, but it's going
to be difficult, I think.
I have a clock set next to me. I'm going to do my level best, okay? Now, before we kick off today's subject, and by the way, we're talking about audiobooks today, just so that you know, which I know very little about. So Tessa and probably mostly Ashton are going to be doing the talking today. I'm going to ask questions and I'm just going to listen to the answers and write notes. I've got a pad and a pen next to me so that I can keep track of things that are going on. But before we dive into that, Tessa, I hear you saw a movie recently and have some opinions about it.
Yeah, I did, but also my hair's gotten stuck in my headphone.
Oh, no.
So I'm a little bit preoccupied.
This is the weirdest technical hitch I've ever come across in my life.
I'm stuck. Okay, there we go. Oh,
this is like hashtag podcast life.
It's like I can't get it out of the way. Anyway, yes, I did go and see a movie, and I'm sure that I'm going to get a lot of backlash for this. I'm just positive about it. But you know the new Batman, the 2022 one that has Robert Pattinson in it?
Oh, yes. Have not seen it.
I haven't seen it either.
I wasn't a fan.
Oh.
And and I kind of ruined it for my partner Andrew. Because whenever we're sitting watching things, he'll be enjoying it, and I'll say something about something that the actors are doing, and he'll go
like, geez, that was shit.
Yeah, pretty much. And he gets real mad at me for it. But I don't know. So if you've seen it and you're not, oh God, I'm so sorry, I'm having such a nightmare with my hair. There we go. Oh, we're fixed. Is that all of the actors? Stop laughing at me.
Sitting here laughing at you, trying real hard to keep it together.
Such a nightmare. All of the actors, 95% of the film are off voice.
Oh no.
Yeah. Now,
subtitles.
Wait.
That means you have to have subtitles on.
Almost all of the actors are off voice.
So maybe we should clarify, just in case anyone's curious, because if Jordan was here right now, he'd be blowing his little horn, right? Going, what is off voice, right? That was a weird that was not how Jordan sounds, by the way. What is off voice? That's not how he sounds.
I can try. Guys, what's off voice? I'm trying to do like my Kiwi blokey sound.
Yeah, I liked it. And maybe that can be our sounds you can't make today. No, we've got an awesome sounds you can't make.
We have a different one. We're already going round and round in circles. We've not gotten anywhere.
Off voice. What is off voice, Tessa?
Off voice is when you're not using your vocal folds to their fullest capacity and you have quite a breathy voice. So what that means is, before I tell you what it means, it's really, really common in drama. Film and television drama.
People seem to use it as a way of like dramatizing what they're saying, right? But it's like this.
It's like this.
Everything is like this. And you can't hear anything because you need your subtitles on because no one's really talking.
Honestly, the amount of times I was like, Andrew, you have to turn it up. I can't fucking hear it. Everybody is down here and you can't be serious, Batman. And I'm like, you can't be serious, Batman. Like,
just use your vocal folds. That's what they're there for.
Oh my!
Do you think it was like a directorial choice? It has to be. If every single actor's doing it, it has to be.
I would say it's a stylistic choice. I wouldn't necessarily say that the director's specifically been like, "Can you do this?" Because often people don't know what it is. They don't know that off voice or on voice is a thing. All they know is that they're doing something and they don't like it. Or that they're doing something and they're like, oh, that's so dramatic. It doesn't really have like a, you know what I mean? It doesn't, nobody knows what it is unless you talk to like someone like me or either of you.
Geeky me or something. Because I bang on about this all the time. And it's a real thing in voiceover as well. You know, like if as soon as you ask someone to be intimate, they go off voice, right?
Off voice.
But it's actually hard to be intimate and stay on voice. It requires a lot of like breath support and lots of lots of muscular kind of support through your torso so that you're keeping the air pressure appropriate coming up from underneath your vocal folds, right? But also you have to be conscious of what's going on in your throat region. Do you know what I mean? Like with the muscles through your vocal apparatus and stuff.
Yeah,
But
and it just drives me mental. Reason being is that if you are if you're in off voice, if you are off voice, you have no variation.
Yeah, none.
Not a fucking ounce. You can't. You can't. Like, so if I go off voice and I start getting angry, like all it happens, it starts going, and it just, you can be off voice and angry, but it's like off voice is a choice, not a stock standard. Like,
I would think so.
Get on it, man.
But is it even really an acting choice? Like, I can't.
Well, maybe.
I think it
is,
can
right?
be.
Like, I see it show up all the time.
choice.
Yeah, I see it show up all the time as a performative choice, right? And it happens, like I said, when people want to be intimate or quiet, or they're doing a chocolate ad read or something.
Oh, yeah, chocolate ad reads.
I guess what I mean is it the most effective choice?
No.
Yeah,
I think it can be in moments. I think if you're doing something and you choose to go off voice in the right moment that suits the intention, suits the emotion, great, cool, whatever.
Yeah.
But it can't be sustained that way. It has to be just a moment.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Well, it's got to be, it should be emotionally driven, right? It should be an emotionally driven thing, right? Like, I'm so upset that I can't stay on voice or something, right? Like that actually went into whisper, but you know, and that's another thing. We should do a whole episode on being on voice versus off voice.
We totally
and the difference
should.
between that and whisper and all that kind of stuff.
Because it also suits some characters. Like if you're an emotionally or physically abused character, being off voice suits.
Yes.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah,
okay,
you know what I
makes
mean?
sense.
Or
especially if you're talking to your abuser, like, and you're afraid. I get that. Okay, that I can understand.
So that sort of stuff makes a lot of sense. But yeah, so this is why I hated Batman.
Right. So that was it. Like, was there anything else about it that, like, was the storyline a bit, Matt? Was the, like, what else? Was it just the off voiceness, or was that enough to, like, totally knock you out of enjoyment?
It was enough to knock me out. And the reason being is that I couldn't hear what they were saying, so I often didn't know what the fucking storyline was.
Yeah.
So that's a problem.
I lost a lot of it.
It's actually a really big thing. I've read a handful of articles recently about the, like, I can't think of the right word for it now, but there's like this massive rise in people using subtitles when they're watching series and movies and that kind of stuff, right? There's been a big shift in the last kind of like probably 5 years from actors being on voice and really using their voice super effectively to sounding much more like they're just talking and being conversational in their stuff. And, you know, when we talk, we don't necessarily articulate really, really well, and we might go really soft, and we might not use a lot of vocal support and that, like, breath support for our voice and stuff. And that's showing up in storytelling in the like movie space and the like series kind of space. And so now everyone's like having to whack subtitles on all the time, not because they're watching it with the sound down, but because they've got the sound up and they still can't understand what the actors are saying.
That's so funny. My grandma literally said that to me a few weeks ago. Oh, I
There
can't
you
hear the
go.
actors these days.
Yep. Well, that, you know, how old's your grandma? Maybe it's a hearing thing. Don't know.
Oh, no. She's actually not too bad with her hearing, which is why it's interesting. Because and because my granddad's super deaf, they have like special speakers all around the house, and she still can't hear anything. She's like,
wow. Yeah. It bothers the shit out of me. And I pay a lot of attention to this kind of thing, obviously. You know, like bit of an area of interest.
Just quietly.
Just a little bit. So I pay a lot of attention to it, but it's actually really, really incredible. And I started noticing it probably 3 years ago.
I've known about it for a long time as well. And when I was at the actors program, the amount of times people were shouted at by vocal coaches, or not vocal coach, but like anyone in the acting, like, get on your voice. The amount, because people would just drop straight back. And it was like, because Janet, can you do an example of on voice intimate? Have you got that in your vocal capacity right now?
Yes. I'm going to bring the microphone a bit closer.
Yeah,
sure.
Can you hear how I'm really, really, really like, I'm being quiet and I am up close to the microphone, so you feel like I'm right in your ear, but I'm not like this. This is off voice, right? This is on voice. Yeah. You can hear texture, you can hear depth. There's resonance still happening in my voice. Now, this is morning voice for me, so I'm like, it's early and I'm not really warmed up, but you can still hear the difference between being off voice and on voice.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I love it. We're doing a whole episode on that because
look, I bang on about this shit all the time. Anyone in my membership, anyone in any of my training programs at some point have heard me say to them, get the fuck on voice.
Yep.
Right?
Oh, yeah, I've said it too. Oh, not at people. I usually just say it at the telly.
Oh, I say it to people. Yeah. I'm smiling and nice while I do it, but I'm like, seriously, you can't just be off voice the whole time.
Voice, mate.
Right? You're cutting out your range, you're cutting out your expression, you're cutting out the texture and the warmth and the
all the good things,
all the good
yumminess,
things.
All the good things.
Yeah. All right, anyway, let's move on.
I just feel so validated because I like when I say this at the telly and Andrew's like, "Can you shut up?" I'm like, "But it's true," and now I just feel validated. I feel great.
Yeah. Well, I suspect him going, "Can you shut up?" is not him refuting the accuracy of your statement. It's much more about let me enjoy the frickin' movie, please, Tess.
Or I can't hear it already. And then you talking on top of it is like, he's like, hello, I'm missing the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm the worst person to watch movies with, especially if there's an accent that goes wrong.
Yeah.
Not that I could always do the accent. If I hear the accent go wrong, I won't watch it anymore. I'm out.
That doesn't really bother me, but I'm not a stickler for accents. So I know
I'm a stickler for acting.
You guys are. Yeah.
If I see bad acting, I'm like, well, this is shit. I just can't even watch it.
If I see bad writing, I'll give the actors. When I'm listening to a script or if I'm listening to them talk, I'm like, that's not the actor's fault. That's the writing's fault.
And you can tell.
Then I tap out as well.
Then
you can
like,
tell.
Yeah.
There's a whole episode in there, team.
Yes, I think we just recorded most of an episode in just our beginning thing.
Oh shit, we're 12 minutes in, I think.
Okay.
All right.
Jordan's gonna kill us.
Okay.
He's gonna kill us.
Coming back in. Come on, ladies, I'm reining you in. Let's go. All right. So today we are talking the good talk, not just about audiobooks, but about the future of audiobooks, which is really, really cool. So everyone get your crystal ball out. We're going to have a little chat about what's going to happen with audiobooks. And Ashton is definitely our resident expert in this space, right? So, I guess one of the things that we want to talk about first, and this might seem like an odd place to start given we're voiceover artists and we might want to come at this, you might think we want to come at this from the perspective of doing audiobooks, but let's talk about listening to audiobooks first, right? So do you guys listen to audiobooks?
All the time.
Tessa, if you just shake your head, no one can tell what you're saying.
Well, that's why I said no after I shook my head. I started doing it and I went, shit.
No one can see me.
No.
So, Tessa, you don't listen to audiobooks?
No, I don't.
How come?
Well, actually, I don't listen to anything. So, I know. I always get that reaction.
This is a podcast.
I also don't listen to podcasts particularly often. Having, written and participated in one, I don't often listen to them. Reason being is that I'm quite a homeostasis kind of person. So what I mean by that is that when I get up in the morning and there's no sound will continue. I don't think to put it on. I don't think to listen to anything. But once somebody puts on music or a podcast or something, I'm in homeostasis and it will stay.
Ah,
interesting.
So lots of my life exists in quiet. I often don't drive with the radio on either. I get in and I'm like, sometimes I talk to myself like I'm on a radio. Right? Yeah, sometimes I talk to myself like I'm on a radio show or a talk show, and that's really fun. Yeah. But otherwise, no, I don't listen to a lot of things, and I think it's just I just don't, and I can't justify any other reason than I just.
No, I don't think you need to. If that just is what it is. I suspect there's a lot of people in the world that are like that. Ashton, do you?
I am the complete opposite.
Yeah.
My ADHD could never not have something going on in the background. I cannot focus without something going on in the background. I have to listen to audiobooks or podcasts or watch YouTube videos, or there has to be something like The Office in the background is often on because it's just very familiar. I don't have to watch it. I already know. I've seen it a billion times. So I have to have something being listened to at all times. I don't know. Otherwise, my brain just literally goes haywire. It has to have something to focus on.
Interesting.
Or else I can't do it. Going to a grocery store without headphones, nightmare inducing for me. I can't imagine doing that. Yeah, it's difficult. So I'm always listening to something. I'm always listening to audiobooks, and that's actually why I started being an audiobook narrator, is because I listened to audiobooks so much and read so much. And I'm like, I could do that. And
Yeah,
that's
wow.
how I
Cool.
started doing audiobooks.
Oh,
So
that's cool.
I often very, very much listen to audiobooks all the time. What about you, Deanna?
Well, I have audiobooks available to me. Like I've got an Audible, thing.
Mhm.
And I probably listen to podcasts and trainings more than I listen to audiobooks, but I do love listening to things. I've
Right.
regularly got my headphones in listening to something, right?
Mm.
I tend to gravitate towards educational stuff though, because I like my listening time to be functional as well.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? Like
I'm like that too.
I tend to use music as I'm just going to listen to this for fun. If I'm listening to words, I really like them to be teaching me something.
Yeah, I get that because I don't read books. What's it? Is it fiction? Fiction is
Yes.
fake.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can never remember
Made
which
up.
one's which. Yeah, I don't read made up books. The only books I read are educational something or other. It
See, I
doesn't
definitely
resonate with me.
read.
Cool.
I read all sorts of different stuff, right? Like I would much rather have the words in front of me than be listening to the words. I think I get
Yeah, I'm the same.
distracted. If it's just entertaining stuff, then I stop paying attention to it and it's just like a background thing. And then I'm like, fuck, I missed half the book. That's annoying.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
I'd much rather have the words in front of me and engage with written, like entertaining kind of content that way. But educational books, like if it's one of those, like if it's a self-development book or like a
Mhm.
business training book or any of that kind of thing, I'll listen to that as an audiobook because my brain stays super engaged with it.
Yeah.
But if
Interesting.
if it's an entertainment thing, my brain goes other places, does other things, and it just becomes background kind of hum. And then, like I said, I get pissed off because I missed the story.
Yeah, and then you have to go back and like
I
listen
have to go back
again
and listen to
figure
it
out. Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Like, might as well just read it, with my eyeballs instead of my ears. That's my position on that anyway. But I love the idea of audiobooks, and I have so
too.
many of them in my like sitting there waiting to be listened to. I should just share my Audible account with someone.
I could give you so many good recommendations of like excellent audiobooks that I like absolutely love.
Show notes.
Yes, in the show notes, I could definitely
Yeah.
give like quite a few for like several different genres.
Cool.
Yeah. I'm working on shameless self-plug, but right now I am
Go.
actually recording an audiobook for like a young adult middle grade series. It's very magical. It's very like
Cool.
they go to a magic school and it's kind of like Harry Potter-esque with like the chosen one and there's like magic and dark magic and oh my gosh, it's so fun. But I love that kind of stuff. I would listen to that stuff even if I wasn't recording this audiobook, but I cannot wait for it to come out. It is so fun.
Yeah, I think that would have to be like I'm not an audiobook narrator, mostly because I just can't even comprehend the idea of sitting and reading out loud into a microphone for that long.
Yeah.
But I have literally spent my entire career doing advertising, right? Like I hardly read anything longer than 2 minutes at the outside, right? Length. So for me, the idea of sitting and narrating something for like hours at a stretch and then going having a break and then coming back and doing more hours at a stretch, like just is unfathomable. I just like my brain goes, fucking what? Like
It's a marathon. It is for sure a marathon. Like you have to pace yourself and it is not for everybody. That's for sure. Like it is not for everybody, but I love it. I really love it.
Like
So.
let's talk a little bit about that. Tessa, would you ever like narrate audiobooks?
I don't think so. And pure reason being is that I don't read enough. I don't consume the content enough to be able to, like when some people pick up a book and they start reading out loud, you're like, oh, you're a reader because you can hear like they just have a good flow. They can get across the sentence structure. That's not me. I probably read in my life, like excluding textbooks, which I did a lot for uni, maybe like 15 books or maybe like 30. Oh, no, I'm going to be generous. I'm going to say 30. And that's including the Harry Potter series and the Narnia series and the Twilight series.
Get out. That's
Which I ain't read
basically
much.
30 books.
Yeah,
That was
they're by
that was
itself.
it.
I don't read. I don't.
I have to have read 30,000 books in my life. Easy.
It's amazing. See, I
just
try to
reread.
be a
Same,
reader.
Deanna.
I try really, really hard, and I just find it just doesn't sit well with me. But I'm a really active learner on things, so I find sitting and reading something it doesn't quite do it for me.
That's
I'd rather sit
interesting.
and listen to somebody talk to me about stuff than sit and read it myself. So yeah, no, I wouldn't be an audio a book reader because I don't read enough books to feel confident to do justice on that sort of stuff.
Yeah, wow.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I read myself to sleep at night. That's how I go to sleep every night.
Amazing.
Reading is literally my unplug.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I was that. I'm working towards that. I
Hmm.
want to read more because I know that reading is so valuable.
I just find it so fascinating that you're not a reader. Like it that blows my mind.
Because
right?
you seem so like that you love learning so much.
Yeah.
And
So like
words
learning
and
about
language.
different. Yeah. So you would think that those two things go hand in hand, but I guess not.
No, if I add in all of like my textbooks that I've read, like I've written everything Patsy Rodenberg has ever written, and I've read
Yeah,
my
right.
Linklater books, and I've read my my voice books and all of that sort of stuff. So I guess I get quite obsessed in a type, which would be all of my voicing stuff, and
Mm.
I have read those, and those are constantly flipped through. But in terms of reading fiction or anything else, no, it just
Yeah,
doesn't
wow.
happen for me.
I don't read autobiographies and stuff. I find them a little bit boring.
I've read one, and it was the Matthew McConaughey one, and it was fabulous.
Ah, cool. Nice.
See, that's another like really good like way to read or listen to an audiobook is by an author who actually did their own audiobook for their biography. Oh,
Yeah.
it's the best.
Mm.
Like I listened to Michelle Obama's. Man, it is phenomenal. So
Oh, wow.
good. It is just like beautiful. It's amazing. But yeah, I love audiobooks. So
I really liked listening to Glennon Doyle read. I've forgot the name of her book now. That's funny, but it's I can't remember what it's called. Like it's not Unbreakable, but it's something like that.
Right.
If one remembers what it is, that's fantastic. Tell me, but it doesn't matter. But listening to her narrate her own audiobook was amazing. I felt like all of her experience and all of her, like you could hear her in it really, really well. And I just don't think another voice would have been able to convey it because it's such an intimate story. Really, really, really intimate story and talks about really intimate things in her life. And I just don't know that another person would be able to do that.
Yeah. I think narrating somebody else's life is very difficult. But I think overall, an audiobook narrator can actually make or break you wanting to listen or read the book in general.
Yes.
Like if the audiobook narrator is
100%.
not good, then you're just going to put it down and never pick it up and never even probably pick up the physical copy of the book because you have a bad taste in your mouth from it. So audiobook narrators are so important to the audiobook like world. Of course, the author is super important too, the person who wrote the book, all of that. But I feel like without a good, if you're going to make an audiobook, without a good audiobook narrator, you might as well not even make one because it really can make or break your book, your audiobook. Having said that, not everybody is going to love your voice. I do consider myself a pretty good audiobook narrator. I have narrated over 200 audiobooks in my career. Yeah, like a lot.
Wow.
So,
Ashton.
Oh, Ashton. Oh my God.
yeah, it's a lot. So I know just a little bit about this stuff.
That is definitely a 10,000 hours. I think we can. I think you are definitely. You're an expert.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm an expert, but I have a lot of experience and a lot of opinions about audiobooks and good ones and not so good ones. And I have made not so good ones in my life, and I have made excellent ones that I'm super proud of. So, yeah, your narrator can make or break the audiobook situation. I think what's interesting about what's happening in audiobooks currently is that I'm not sure if this is true in other parts of the world, so maybe that's why there's maybe a little bit of a disconnect. But here in America, I know you mentioned Audible, Deanna. Audible is the #1 place to get audiobooks. Is that true where you guys are?
As far as I know.
That, yeah.
Like when I was thinking about where else do I listen, like Audible's the only thing that comes to mind.
I don't even know where you would get audiobooks other than
totally.
So they probably
And
have a
that's-
monopoly on it.
Exactly. That's part of the problem is they have such a monopoly on it that they're actually squeezing money from authors and audiobook narrators. More so authors than audiobook narrators. But and not giving them a choice as to being able to go to other platforms. What I
other
mean by
platforms
this,
are there?
Oh.
there are a couple other platforms, especially when you're producing an audiobook. So there's other places you can go besides Audible. So
Do you mean
it
like
also,
ACX?
ACX is Audible.
That's the
Oh.
recording side of it, right? Like
Yeah.
that's where you do like, yeah.
Ah, right.
So ACX, if you don't know, ACX is the audiobook exchange, ACX, the audiobook creation exchange.
Right.
And it's actually owned by Audible, who was owned by Amazon. So it's all the same company, essentially. And so what ACX does is it actually takes independent authors who write their own books and publish their own books, most of the time through KDP, which is the Kindle publishing platform
Oh,
for
yes.
Amazon and Audible, and hooks them up with freelance or just narrators in general who can audition for their audiobooks. And then as a narrator who works with ACX, you're also expected to produce those audiobooks to, quality like standards. So they hook you up. The independent authors can kind of get hooked up with the narrators to produce these audiobooks. And as far as like the payment part goes, Audible and ACX doesn't really have a lot to do with that unless it is a royalty situation.
Yeah, I've
So
heard
there's-
about this, right? Like, because I know a bunch of audiobook narrators and I've spoken to people. Now, ACX isn't a thing in Australia, right? You can't,
Right.
like, you have
Same
to
here.
be.
You can't do it here either.
Yeah, my
And
understanding is that you have to be in America and to be able to access
Or
ACX,
Great Britain.
right?
It's America
really?
or the UK. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So those are the two places.
In Australia, we have like a few different places that create audiobooks, like I think Penguin and Random House do audiobooks. Like there's producers that create them, but I'd say that is a very independent thing. I suspect those people create and produce the audiobooks and then probably put them on Audible or wherever else anyway. Is that a thing?
That's exactly what happens.
Yeah.
So I will create. So that's the other part of the audiobook is that it's I'm just a producer. I don't do distribution. So distribution is provided by another distribution platform. So when you think about distribution, you have to remember that most people are not listening to audiobooks that have been put on a CD anymore. They're listening to it on their smartphones, most likely. And so the way to get them from your smartphones is that you have to download an app or some type of platform that will provide you with those audiobooks. Most of that time the app is being Audible. Because they have kind of a monopoly. They're just the most well-known. They've really established themselves as the audiobook, place to get audiobooks, basically.
Yeah.
You can get them other places, though. There are other places you can get your audiobooks, including if you have, in America, at least if you have your library card. I know this is true for Canada as well. If you have your library card, there's Overdrive and Libby, which you can actually get audiobooks from your library that way and borrow them for free. There's
And when you say
Scribd.
borrow them, digitally?
Digitally borrow them, yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, and you can do the same thing with you can borrow like ebooks as well that way through your library. So you don't have to go through Amazon and Audible. And so there are other places that you can get audiobooks from. There's another subscription service called Scribd. There's lots of places.
Oh, I've heard of
Apple,
that.
I've heard of Scribd as well.
I used Scribd a lot, but I consume a lot of audiobooks. So financially it's more it's a better financial decision for me because I can get access to a lot of audiobooks for one set fee a month instead of paying individually for audiobooks like Audible makes you do.
Yeah.
But there's hitches to that too or anything. There's other places you can get audiobooks. The problem with this is that, okay, just for reference, before I say the next thing I'm going to say,
I love this.
I don't dislike Audible itself. I don't think that they are, I appreciate everything that I have gotten in my career from Audible. The majority, the vast majority of the audiobooks I have narrated and produced are on Audible. That's not the problem. Even if they do have a monopoly, I don't even have that big of a deal with it, except that for independent authors especially, they're almost financially bullied into only using Audible based on the royalties that they will receive. So what is happening currently in the audiobook world, and has been for a while, is that if you want to get your book produced and put on Audible, you usually will go to ACX. Or find your narrator. You can find them anywhere. You don't have to use ACX, but it's just an easy platform that you will likely end up putting your book on anyway. So you put your book up there. And so for authors, you get royalties for your book. However, if you're going to put it on Audible, you only get 40% of your royalties, and Audible will take 60%. And that's only if you agree to be exclusive.
So
to
what
Audible
do they take
alone.
if you're not exclusive?
20%. You will only get 20% of your audiobook.
Oh.
They will get 80 if
Whoa.
you choose to put it on other platforms.
So
now-
it costs you, like they penalize you
Oh, yeah.
for using other platforms and making your own material accessible on a wider basis.
Yes. Now, in addition to that, if you hire a narrator on a royalty contract, so there's two types of contracts.
Yeah.
There's a per finished hour contract, so you can pay your audiobook narrator a flat rate based on how long your audiobook is. Usually for like good audiobook narrators, I would say it's about $225 to $400 per finished hour. If you get a good experienced audiobook narrator, that's what it's going to cost you.
Yeah.
Or there are other
hang
contracts.
on. Wait one sec, Ashton. I just want to clarify in case anyone's listening and they don't know what per finished hour specifically means. And I know you kind of said it, but let's just make it really, really clear.
Yeah.
Per finished hour of the book, right?
the
So
product.
if we listen to a book and it takes 3 hours for us to listen to at normal speed, right? Then that's 3 per finished hours.
Yes.
3 hours of finished material.
Yeah, it's
So
not
potentially,
Yeah.
say you're getting paid $300 per finished hour. So then for producing that audiobook entirely, you'll get paid $900, no matter how long it takes you to make it.
To record and edit and produce.
Edit and
the
master
final-
and
yes.
produce to put it all together. You'll get paid $900 for that 3-hour audiobook.
So the $300 an hour, like just as an aside, the $300 an hour, it sounds like you're getting an amazing deal, right? But actually, especially if you're new, it might take you 3 times or 4 times or 5 times that amount of time to actually to produce the finished hour.
Absolutely, right? Because there is a very vast learning curve on how to specifically make audiobook files and the specifics of all of the metadata and all of the stuff that you need to include that's like the post-production stuff that you have to make an audiobook, to produce it under their standards. So back to being an author, and say you don't want to be exclusive on Audible alone and you want to place your audiobook other places, now you're down to 20% royalties. Say you hired your narrator to also take a piece of those royalties. Well, that also cut that down in half again. So now your audiobook narrator will get
whatever
10%.
percentage of 20%.
Yeah. And then you will get the very little minuscule amount that's left over for your audiobook. And Amazon and Audible will take almost everything.
Wow. That's fucking nuts.
I think
what is I don't
It's a problem.
understand that.
Yeah,
It's
it's
a
a
massive problem.
I mean, I get it. Like they're a business, they want to make the money, right?
And they can. They have
and
a
I
monopoly.
guess the thinking is, right, like you're taking profits from us by putting the book on another platform because you get as much of that other platform's profit as you possibly can as an
Probably
author, right? So
much more than
much
Audible
higher
would give you.
percentage. Yeah, right. So I guess the thinking is, all right, so if you're with us, we'll give you like the whole 40%. Thank you, very generous. We'll give you the it's just my opinion, by the way. So we'll give you the whole 40%. But if you take it somewhere else, we're gonna take another 20% of that, like another 50% actually of that 40%, whatever, right?
Yes.
So numbers, maths. We're gonna take more. We're gonna give you a smaller portion because you get to make as much money as you possibly can on these other platforms, which are much smaller and probably nowhere near as well kind of understood and known and purchased from, right?
Right.
So
You
there
might
is that.
sell like 5 there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because most people are getting their audiobooks through Audible and they know that.
That's
So
not cool. I just don't think that's
not.
cool.
I don't
That's
think
like
it's
an
cool
agent
either.
double dipping, right? Like
Yeah,
that's an
I
an
agree.
agency going, all right, I'm going to charge the client a percentage. I'm going to charge you a percentage, and we're going to take a percentage off the top of everything because that's just what we want to do, right?
Yeah.
And everyone
Yeah.
gets real up in arms about that shit. So
but no one is getting up in arms.
this is what I'm
except
saying.
for-
Why
yeah,
is
yeah. There is
why
one
isn't it?
author who is very well known, and his name is Brandon Sanderson. He writes a lot of fantasy.
I know. I read his books. He's
great.
fantastic. He writes
Yeah.
great books.
Yeah, Brandon Sanderson is awesome. I mean, he's got a collection of work that's just huge and well known and well loved.
Hmm.
So for his most recent, I'm not sure if it's out yet or if it's coming out, but for his most recent release, he decided, hey, he put it out to his fans and to everybody, hey, I'm making an audiobook for this book, but I'm not going to put it on Audible. And here's why.
Nice.
That's
Yeah.
so fantastic.
So he's kind of like bringing light to it and really helping because he's Brandon Sanderson. Like he's
Yeah,
not going
he's
to get
got a
the same
platform.
deal from Audible as a independent author would. It's Brandon Sanderson can go to Audible and be like, no, I'm not giving you 60%.
He can negotiate.
He can negotiate. And if you have a contract with big publishers like Penguin Random House or any of these big publishers, your contracts are not going to be the same.
Yeah.
As if you were an independent author. So Brandon Sanderson wants to look out for the indie authors and the, independent narrators and be like, hey, this isn't right. You can't just do this to people. Even
Especially
though
not indies.
I know.
Fuck. Like, why
know.
take more from the little people? Why?
Right.
And that sounds really, really discriminatory, little people. Sorry, didn't mean to frame it that way. But,
it made
like,
sense.
yeah, like the independent people are the ones that need the most support. If you're going to do
Exactly.
a fucking sliding scale, if you're going to give people the opportunity to negotiate and make more of what they sell, you should be giving it to the independents.
Yeah, you should. They should have, because they don't have that extra support of that big publishing company behind them. You know what I mean? And people who make independent, like write independent books and make these wonderful things, they put their whole heart and soul into it. They're putting up their own money to hire an audiobook narrator. It's not like they have a big publishing company that's going to hire somebody. They have to save up their own money that they probably work their other jobs doing to hire a really good audiobook narrator because they want it to be well done. And then go through all of this process of their baby, essentially, and then not reaping any of the fruits of their labor. It
Some
sucks.
fucked up shit.
Yeah.
So what can we as creatives and voice artists, whether we're audiobook, narrators or producers or even just consumers, right? Like, or even not, right? Like what if we don't actually do any of that stuff anyway?
Yeah.
How can we as creatives and voice artists help, right? We want to create a market where there's more competition in audiobook production. What do we do about that?
I don't know.
Oh.
That's
What do
the
you
answer is
do?
I don't know.
Like,
I don't
'cause
know.
I've really enjoyed because I don't have a lot. Actually, I don't, not that I don't have a lot. I have no experience in audiobooks. I absolutely none whatsoever. And the thing that I hear inside this conversation so much, and it's something that I'm hearing in a lot of conversations in a lot of places, are big corporations really, really, really starting to hammer down on industry people.
Yeah.
Like, because how do independent voice artists, how do independent authors stand up to someone like Amazon?
Maybe they're scared of us. Because if we're so independent and we don't need them, they don't make any money off of us. So maybe they're scared, so they got to keep us down. You know what I mean?
That's a good thought.
It's their way of staying on top. But I think just first of all, letting people know, like, and understand, because this is not common knowledge unless you're in the industry, what is going on. I think talking about it and getting it out there and well known is probably the first step. What steps come after that? I have no idea. Maybe I'm not that smart, but
Maybe we need to talk to Brandon Sanderson.
Yeah, we need
If you're
somebody
listening.
who, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Brandon. Come on over to the
I'm on our
podcast.
podcast.
Yeah, I'm an audiobook narrator.
Look, it'd be.
Yeah.
I think probably like just talking about it is the best place to start. Definitely, right?
Mhm.
You know, like the more awareness people have of this kind of thing, the more impact people potentially can have, right? Like you can't do anything about a thing that you don't know anything about. You know,
Yes.
so there's that, right? Maybe you know, if you're listening to this episode and you have some ideas about
Yeah.
like even just some opinions and some thoughts about what maybe we can all do as a profession and as an industry to support independent authors, you know, because that's really what this is about. And it's
Right.
really interesting, right? Because yes, we're voiceover artists and we've got an episode on audiobooks, but we're not really talking about audiobook narration as such. Really what we've talked about today, and maybe we can do another episode on audiobook narration. I think that would be really, really cool because I've got lots of questions to ask you, Ashton, about the narration process, you know,
Yeah.
and what that's like and skill sets and all that kind of thing. But really what we've talked about today is audiobook production and distribution, really, right? So if you're listening and you've got any ideas about you know, anything to do with the production and distribution side of it, write to us and let us know, you know, share your thoughts with us, because I'm keen as mustard to get behind something that helps support independence. Like they're the freaking lifeblood of everything,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. And that's where like some of the best, most creative, innovative stories are coming from. is
Yeah, of
from,
course.
Yeah, from people who just, you know, are sitting at home writing on their computer till, you know, midnight, and then they go do their day job and then they do it all over again. And some of the best stuff comes out of that. And some of my favorite stuff to read and narrate comes from those people who do that. It's just it's so fulfilling to like have an author come back to you as an audiobook narrator and just be like so thrilled with how you brought their world to life. And it is like, oh my gosh, it is literally the best feeling to me, knowing that the way that I read your book, I narrated it, I performed it, was brought your vision to, is like bringing your vision to more people in the world. So it's just, it just warms my heart. I have such a heart for independent authors and for audiobooks in general. And whatever we can do to get more audiobooks out there and support people and narrators, I want to do that. And so I'm glad that we really talked about this today. I'm glad that at least, you know, maybe we can start a conversation, maybe somewhere in some corner of the internet, and let people know what's really going on with the future of audiobooks. Because if it keeps going like this, it's kind of scary.
Well, people will stop doing it, right? Like the independents who don't have the money to support themselves through this process will stop doing it, but no one will know, right? Like this is the scary thing. Like Audible will still have plenty of like stuff on this. Like it's not like Audible's going to fall over. Do you know what I mean? Like they will still have plenty of books there for people to buy and engage with. It's just that the independents will disappear, and that's fucked. That's really, really awful. I would like to not see that happen, you know?
Yes. Let's not see that happen.
All right, let's see what we can come up with. I don't know what. We'll just manifest some amazing solution somehow, right?
Yes, I hope.
Okay, good. So I think that's a really good time for us to like transition into our next section of the podcast. Our next segment is what I meant to say. Section, segment.
All good words.
I just did a Tessa.
No, we're not bringing that back. Look, I've sat here real good and quiet all episode. I've not said anything off. Just no.
Her face just got all pink. She's so cute.
You are super pink right now. Oh, Tess, you're adorable.
We're not turning that into a verb. I'm not.
It's already a verb, sweetie. Like you're
It's
a
already
verb.
happened.
Sorry, mate.
You're a wonderful verb.
When you say it like that, I don't mind so much.
Yeah. So let's jump into sounds I can't make. Okay, so we are doing a really, really, really fun sounds I can't make today. So this is brought to you by Tessa, basically. Normally we'd have Jordan in the house doing this for us, but he's not with us today. So Tessa has sent me the link, and I'm going to share my screen now and play it. So here we go. Sharing screen with the world. Okay, there we go. Can we see this?
Yes.
All right. Now, am I at the right point of this scene?
I believe so. I might go back about 3 or 4 seconds, just in case.
So, like, to
Oh,
hear
there
it?
she goes, the foxy lady. Yeah.
Foxy lady. All right, here we go. Now, like, and if you're watching this, you might actually already, you will. You'll know what we're doing. But here we go. Here we go.
Here's your statue, Mum.
Oh, what for the love of God is that?
It's a statue you wanted.
What? No, it's not, Kim.
Yes, it is. It's a statue of little baby cheeses.
Little baby cheeses? Oh, little baby Jesus, Kim, Jesus.
So I'm just going to rewind a little bit.
Hold on. I am American and I have never seen this before, and that is hilarious.
Yeah. So this is a show called Kath and Kim, right? It's an Australian cult classic, right? It's just like, it's so iconic. It's ridiculous, right? And if you're watching this on YouTube, what you would be seeing right now is one of the characters, Kim, carrying in a statue made out of Baby Bell cheeses, which are these little tiny cheeses wrapped in little red wrapping, like cellophane stuff. And she's made like a sculpture out of them because her mother, Kath, asked her for a statue of baby Jesus. But what Kim made was a statue of baby cheeses, right? So we're just going to play it again. And the reason we're doing this is because the accent work in this is hilarious. It's really, really funny. So I'm just going to come back to about here.
Jesus? Oh.
No, not far enough.
A little bit further.
Here we go. I think about there is good.
Jesus.
Little baby cheeses? Oh, little baby Jesus, Kim, Jesus.
I love this show. Like, yes, it's Australian, but every New Zealander knows this as well. It was
hilarious
huge over here too.
All right, so let's
this.
have a go. Let's have a go, right? Like, I feel like I've got an incredibly unfair advantage here. So I'm not even like, it's not fair for me to go first because, like, I've literally been I speak this way in my everyday life. I literally had not when I'm taking the piss. I mean, that's but literally
really.
On Tuesday this week, I was talking to someone and I said something about like all the time, right? And they Kath and Kim'd me back, right? So it literally is just part of the lexicon in this country, right? It's hilarious.
What accent would you say this is? Like, because obviously it's a heightened version of an accent, but do you know where this accent is from? Because I don't.
I don't know exactly.
You don't know?
No, like this show is really funny. There's another couple of characters on this show called Prue and True who talk like this.
True.
Prue and True, right? And that probably is quite regional in like the New South Wales kind of space, I suspect. But this one, the standard Kath and Kim, I don't know if anyone knows. Let us know what, like, if you think that this comes from a particular place in Australia or if it's just a generalised piss take. You know, my feeling is that it's a generalised piss take, but I could be wrong. You know,
so funny.
So I'm not going to go first because it's not fair, right? I already do this all the time. So who wants to go first?
So are we saying, just to be clear, are we saying little baby Jesus or little baby cheeses?
I think we say, yeah, you think?
I think the bit where Kath says, not baby cheeses, baby Jesus, right? Like that bit where she says all of it together. Do you want me to play it again for you, Ashton?
Please, one more time. I'm at a severe disadvantage. So yes.
Okay, I think we go from about here. Here we go.
Cheeses.
Little baby cheeses? Oh, little baby Jesus, Kim, Jesus.
Just the way she says it is really funny.
There's so much going on in there. Oh, come on, have a go. Have a go, Ashton.
Okay. Little baby cheeses? I said little baby Jesus.
That was so good.
That was
I almost couldn't
fun.
finish it without laughing because it's really funny.
Yeah. So, like, you've got to be able to get the Australian, right? Because it is still Australian, right? So, can I give you a tip? Test your mind if I help with this a bit.
Go for it. Go for it.
So what you want to do is go wide. like this,
Okay.
right? It's almost like the Southern accent. You know, with a US accent, if you broaden out really wide, you get that,
Yeah.
that, right?
Mhm.
So we want that broadness, right? But like flat.
Okay.
Sorry. Stop me.
So when I say, hold on, I can't even do it.
Yeah.
When I say little baby, I can't even do it.
Yeah, no, and it's really interesting though because that wide movement threw you
Mhm.
straight into like a Southern kind of vibe,
It
didn't it?
did. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
because I
would
do Southern
always do
accents all the
that
time.
with my lips for it.
You go forward, do you?
I go forward, like Jesus. I'd be like round and open all the time, but still
Oh.
wide. But I've
Yeah.
got like a
Try that, Ashton.
Little baby Jesus. I said little baby Jesus. I see. It
You
goes
sound
straight into
Cockney
Cockney.
now.
Like
You
it's
sound
British.
Cockney.
I don't even know where I'm going. This is why I don't do accents.
Maybe we need to start with Australian, right?
Yeah.
And then take the Australian somewhere else. Kes, do you want to have a go?
It's so stylized. It's so
It's so
funny. Like the way that she
stylized.
says Jesus and Jesus is very hysterical. That's all I
Yeah.
can think about is Jesus.
Kim's a good word to get in with. Kim. Jesus. Jesus. Oh, I did it backwards. It's I love. I find this accent really hard because I just find it hard to hold because it has so much energy. Kim, little baby Jesus. Not Jesus.
Oh, God.
I feel like I'm trying to like with my hands. You know how I told you last time that I always put an accent in my body somewhere?
Yeah.
Jesus. I feel like I want to do like this gripping action with my fingers all the time.
Ah,
Don't know what that's about,
right.
but it's fun.
Oh, that's so funny.
you-
Jesus.
Can you do it, Deanna?
Yeah. Let
Okay,
me
you
just
do it.
play what she says
Yeah.
again.
Jesus.
Little baby cheeses?
So there's a Jesus,
Jesus.
right? It starts out Jesus, little baby cheeses. I said Jesus, Kimmy, Jesus.
Look how big her face is. Jesus. I said little baby Jesus. What's going on in your face? Ashton, ramp up the face. Go.
Okay.
Jesus, little baby Jesus.
Jesus. I said little baby Jesus. I can't even do it. I went, Jesus. It's little baby
Little
Jesus.
baby Jesus, not Jesus, cheeses. Oh my gosh.
Oh my god! If any of you are listening, you will. If you've seen this before, you'll all remember the look at me, 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 come here, look at me, look at me.
I
I have
said
no
what
idea
word
what's
say to you?
happening.
Velcro dots. If you've ever seen it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
All right, listen, we have to wrap it up there because we are on a little bit of a time constraint today. But like that was really, really funny.
That was fun.
That was
That was
excellent.
fun.
Yeah. So go watch as much Kath and Kim as you possibly can,
Oh.
Ashton. Start absorbing
gonna.
that shit, right?
I'm gonna.
So unfortunately, that's what we've run out of time for today. So we have to wrap that up. If Jordan was here, he'd be like, ladies, tapping his wrist and making us like wrap up our time thing. So please send us your Kath and Kim impressions. We really, really, really want to hear them, right? We want to hear your Kath and Kim stuff, okay? And likewise, if you've got any questions about VO or you have a story you want to share from your booth or any of that kind of stuff, please, please, please send it in. We love getting, like emails and voice notes and all sorts of stuff from you guys. It's so much fun. And we love hearing your ideas for what we can do for sounds we can't make, right? So make sure that you send all of that to us. We're on all of the social platforms, TikTok, YouTube, all the places, Instagram, Facebook, all the stuff. And also we have an email address. So you can email us at thegoodtalkerspodcast.com. No, not .com.au. thegoodtalkerspodcast@gmail.com is what I meant to say. So follow us everywhere. Send us all your ideas. We love hearing from you. And yeah, that's it from us for today. Say goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Thanks for being with us, everyone. We'll see you on the next episode of the Good Talkers podcast.